Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others, aspiring to be them, can follow in their footsteps. Here's your host, Jacob Wells.
Welcome to Latte with the Lawyer. I'm your host, Jacob Wells, and I'm really excited today because we have a great episode for you. We're going to be talking with Jordan Bledsoe about his work with business litigation at Stoel Rieves. So here's our guest, Jordan Bledsoe. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jacob. Glad to be here.
Great. And thanks so much for spending some of your time with us today. Before we get into the episode, can you give us a bit of an overview of who you are for those of our viewers who don't know?
Sure. I practice commercial litigation in Salt Lake City, as you said, a firm called Stoel Rieves. And Stoel Rieves is a firm with 350 plus attorneys and has offices throughout the Pacific Northwest. Primarily, we have one back in DC, a small office, and then one in Minneapolis. I'm a 6-year associate right now, so on the brink of partnership. Hopefully
Nice.
In the next few years, I make partners. So I'm still in the really busy time. Hopefully it lightens up in the next few years, but right now it's a little bit of a grind. I have 4 kids, married and have 4 kids, 3 girls and a boy. And so they keep me busy. That and work keeps me quite busy.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congrats on the nice big family. I want to ask you, as like such a busy guy who's, trying to make partner and you've got all those kids running around, since the show is called Latte with the Lawyer, what is your morning drink of choice that like gets you caffeinated and ready for the day to deal with all of that?
That's a good question. So I usually exercise every morning. That gets me out of bed, gets me going, helps my stress levels. And so I'll usually wake up, get some pre-workout in my system, and then hit the gym pretty early in the morning, and then get home and start working. So pre-workout, I'd have to say, is my drink of choice.
What's your pre-workout of choice? C4 or I don't even know any other brands off the top of my head.
I'd actually have to look it up on Amazon. So the way I chose it, I went to this Labdoor place where they test all the pre-workouts, and it's supposed to be the best one and the most effective and have good ingredients. But I can't remember the name of it. I'd have to look it up. Anyway, it works pretty well.
Cool. So back onto the discussion of law. So take me all the way back, not so far back, I guess, but when you got started, when you were in college, when you were thinking of going into law, what attracted you to that industry in particular?
Well, initially I was going to be a dentist. Going into college, that was my plan. And I thought, you have a great life, work-life balance. A lot of dentists work 4 days a week. You make good money. And it seemed like something I'd really like. And so my freshman year of college, I took some courses that set me on that path. And I thought, well, I better shadow some dentists to see what this is like. And so I started doing that and realized pretty immediately I could never do this. And part of it is the dentists can't really talk with their patients because they're working on their mouths whole time. And I realized quickly this isn't very intellectually stimulating. And that's something that I knew that I needed. It's something that was challenging me on a daily basis. And I thought, as a dentist, you can work with your hands, but I don't, and there may be some challenges. But for me, I thought I need something that's intellectually challenging on a daily basis. And so I paused and said, okay, not doing dentistry. What should I do? And I thought, well, what are my strengths? What do I enjoy doing? And I liked reading. I liked writing. I really enjoyed my English classes. And so I thought, well, let me look into law. I think I would enjoy that. And part of it is I wanted to make a good living and be able to provide for a family. I would be lying if I didn't say that was a big part of it. But also, I thought, I think this would be challenging, something I'd get up every morning and like doing. And so I started heading down that path, and things kind of fell into place. And I took some pre-law courses, and everything that I saw made me think, yeah, I would like this. And now that I'm 6 years into it, and after 3 years of law school, I think I made the right choice because I do like what I do. I don't always love the billable hours and the demands on my time, but it's a great profession. It is challenging. It's different every day, and keeps me on my toes. And that's something that gets me up in the morning. So I think it is a really good fit for me.
Great. And in terms of specifically business litigation, how did you come across that? What's the story there?
I knew that I wanted to work at a top law firm in Salt Lake City, doing commercial litigation, big business disputes. I wasn't ever really interested in criminal law or family law, or where you have emotions running high. I more wanted to do big business disputes that were high level, a lot on the line for these companies. And so when I was interviewing with law firms, that was my aim of, what are the top business litigation law firms? And Stoel Rieves was one of them. And I was fortunate enough to get an offer. And so I took it and ran with it. And for me I've always been interested in business, and I had a business in college that I ran. And so I thought I want to be doing business law and business disputes. And so that's why I gravitated toward that. And litigation, I just wanted to be in the courtroom. I wanted to be on my toes, wanted to be, arguing with other sides. I'm pretty competitive. I've always been very into sports. And so the competitive aspect of litigation was really appealing to me. And I still like that aspect. I like the aspect of thinking, how can I outwit the other side? Or how can I make the best arguments to convince this judge that he should adopt our position? And so that's an exciting aspect of litigation, and in particular, complex commercial litigation.
Yeah, for sure. I think you touched on a few things there that have come up in a number of conversations. One being your affinity for sports. I think I spoke to a couple of people actually that their background in sports helped them become a successful lawyer, whether it be the teamwork or the competitiveness that you mentioned. These are things that come up. And also just your interest in business early on. I think that's really interesting and really helpful, because a lot of lawyers don't really think about law as a business so much, and they just kind of go about it very straightforward. Whereas I feel like that business side of things can help you be a better lawyer. Do you think there's anything in terms of your background, in terms of your interest in business, that has helped you be a successful lawyer?
Yeah, I absolutely. And I think you're right about thinking about business in that way. In college, I ran a window cleaning business with me and a few of my buddies, and that was in 2008. And gas prices were high, the market wasn't doing great, and so we had to find a way to get business, even though a lot of people didn't want to spend money. And so for us, it was creative ways of finding new customers, knocking on doors, just giving people discounts, whatever it may be. Was just exciting to me to try to find what were then clients, and obviously a very different type of client back then. But that spilled over into my current practice of, hey, what are creative ways to find new clients? What are creative ways to market myself? And so those lessons I learned in running that business in college have spilled over of just finding creative ways to market yourself and let people know what you're doing. And one thing I will say, the best marketing tool we had for our window cleaning business was doing a really good job. Neighbors would tell their neighbors, hey, these guys do a really great job, take their time. And then we'd get referral after referral. And I think the same way goes for law. I've learned is if you can do really quality work and be a really great attorney, word of mouth is one of the best ways to market. So there is I have found some takeaways from the business lessons I learned in college.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think that it's great that you're figuring that out so early on, because there's people that are, way more senior in their career that don't realize that, and they're not even reaching the tip of the surface. Is there any experience, any case that you worked on that you have a fond memory of, that was really exciting case to be involved with?
Yeah. Can I tell you too? Is that okay?
Yeah, go. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So the first one is when I was a young attorney, And a senior partner and I worked on this case, which it was an arbitration. And for those of you who don't know what arbitration is, it's not in a public court. It's a private arbitrator or a private judge who determines a dispute. And typically there's no right of appeal. And so the decision you get from the arbitrator is binding and final on the parties. And in this case, there was these three partners who had started this real estate company. And one of the partners was assigned this deal out in Utah to buy this land. And the partnership thought that it could buy the land and then immediately have the Utah Department of Transportation buy it, because they believed that there was going to be a highway going through the land and that they could sell it for quite a bit more than they bought it for. And the partner who was assigned to go buy the land and then sell it to UDOT went back to his partners and said, hey, the deal fell through. We didn't get it. Sorry. Turns out that he actually had bought it with one of his own companies and then sold it to UDOT without telling his partners and made a great profit from it. And he had done other dishonest things that really came to light months down the road. And in the arbitration, it was interesting because this guy was lying through his teeth about everything. And he was very deceitful. And you really couldn't tell. He was a great liar, maybe because he had been doing that his whole life.
Yeah.
And the senior partner I was with did a great job cross-examining him, making him look silly. And we could tell that he was lying. But you always get nervous about the arbitrator. Hey, is the arbitrator seeing the same things we're seeing? Is he seeing the testimony the same way we are? And the guy, the partner who our clients were suing was just a slimy guy. And so you really wanted justice done because our clients had lost out on all this money. And so we go through the multi-day arbitration and then a few weeks later get the decision. And the arbitrator just hammered this guy and awarded us punitive damages and everything we had asked for. And I just loved it because it was justice served. It felt like, all right, justice was done here. The arbitrator did a great job of getting down to the bottom of what really happened and realizing this person had lied. And that was very young in my career. And I absolutely loved it because I thought you really can do great things in the law, and justice does prevail sometimes. I've learned, but I just thought that's why I like doing what I do, because there are disputes out there where people are being cheated or they are injured, and you want them to get justice, and justice was served in this case. And
yeah, absolutely.
It was great. All right, can I tell you about one other?
Yeah,
and this one was out of my wheelhouse, but for those thinking about going to law school and practicing law, I think there are opportunities to help people that may not be just flow naturally from your practice. And that's one thing, practicing law, I thought I will be able to help some people. So there was this family traveling to Colorado to a hockey tournament, and a semi-truck driver, it was a 2-lane highway, and a semi-truck driver, we're not sure exactly what happened, but going around a corner, he went into the other oncoming traffic lane and hit this family head on going full speed. Jeez. And killed the two parents immediately. And these two kids in the backseat were life flighted to a local hospital, and they didn't have any close relatives. And so the hospital neighbor was caring for them, and they reached out to our firm to see if we could help these kids in some way. And I was assigned responsibility for the case and help these kids be adopted by this neighbor family. And it just ended up being a really great situation where these kids were in a wonderful home with the wonderful family, and this lady who was just amazing to take these two children into her home. And then we also represented the children in an action against the trucking company, and ended up getting a very favorable result for them. And it was just a really feel-good thing to do for these kids, to help them in this, to be adopted, and then helping them in this action against this trucking company, and doing it on a steep discount because we really just were concerned about helping them and And it just worked out really well. And that was one of those times where I thought, what a great career to be in, where you can help people like that and have these opportunities. And so practicing law can be really rewarding. There are times where you kind of feel like you're going through the motions and it's just business disputes, but there's a lot of good that you can do in the law. And so that's a fond memory that I have.
Yeah, I'm curious, like how often you get cases that are really about helping people like that are extremely meaningful to you, and how often it's just run of the mill, like you were saying, just going through the motions. Like, what percentage would you say for each?
I'd say the percentage is very, very, very low, very low. But when they do come along, they are meaningful. And I think I've been able to help people on pro bono matters, whether it's family members who need help or friends who need help. I've been able to do some of that, but in terms of cases like the one I just explained, I think those are very rare. And so when they do come along, it means that much more.
Yeah. Something that I'm curious to ask you about, since you have a different perspective than most of the lawyers that I've interviewed, since they're much older, and you're probably more in touch with technology and new tools that are available within the legal industry. Curious where you see the industry headed in the future, whether it be AI or any other technology that can help accelerate the business and make it more efficient.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm really looking forward to see how the legal industry adapts to technology, especially with document review. I mean, document review can be so tedious and time consuming. And we're already starting to see some of these technologies to assist. AI is assisting with document review to some extent, but it'll be interesting to see how that develops. I would not be surprised if it gets to a point where it's primarily AI doing these reviews to gather the universe of documents relevant to the case. Then, of course, I think you'll have to have human eyes on it, reviewing it and digesting the information. But I do think there is a lot of room for growth with the AI in the legal industry. Another area that I don't think AI is as common, but I'll be interested to see how it develops, is legal research. With Westlaw and these other resources, you have such a large universe of resources that, especially as a young attorney researching, it can be completely overwhelming, the amount of precedent there is. And so it'll be very interesting to see if AI can come into the legal research world and help make legal research more efficient, to find the best cases, the best resources, and make it more sophisticated. So in my view, those are the two areas where I can really see AI helping lawyers take leaps and bounds in being efficient.
Cool. I'm excited to see where things go in the future. But thanks so much for taking this time. I really enjoyed our conversation. If anybody is curious to, find you on the internet, they were like inspired by this conversation, how is the best, where is the best way to reach you?
You can just Google me, Jordan Bledsoe, and I'm the first name that shows up. So it's as simple as that.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Jordan. Really appreciate your time. This has been Jacob Wells for Latte with a Lawyer. And I want to thank Jordan Bledsoe of Stoel Rieves for joining us today. And thanks to our sponsor, EmotionTrac, without a K, that uses artificial intelligence for mediations and trials to quickly gather focus group research and data. So thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Jacob.